inside the Gamecocks the Morning Show, and there's our bouncer, Big John Strickland from. What are we going to call? We got to come up with a name for your studio, like the something bourbon. So you got to unmute your mic too. Was it Big Bourbon Studios or something? We got to come up with something. Think about that.
Yeah, we'll have to come back to that.
Yeah,
the
you know how
Gamecock Wall of Bourbon.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely what it is. You know, Portnoy does his one bite, that's all pizza.
Yep.
Like we could just do like one pour, that's all.
We'll have to do that on a Friday afternoon come season or something. I don't know about midweek work day.
It's got to be on Friday.
Yeah.
It's got to be on Friday. All right, John. This month we'll spend our time kind of looking as deeply as we can at the guys that they've got at all the position groups. And then we got July coming up, a programming note for anybody wondering, in 24 days on June 27th, that Friday. We will that'll be our last day until media days, July the 14th. We'll be back. So we'll be off for a couple of weeks as we are every year, rejuvenating and getting some programming things right and taking some vacations and this, that, and the other. And then we'll be back with you. So we won't be able to do this then, but we'll do it now. And then we'll be fast forwarding into football season once we return. Today, we'll start with your strength, the offensive line, and the other side of the football, the defensive line. Let me ask you a question about this. Okay, so last year, Josiah Thompson started 12 games at left tackle, and Casey Henry started all 13 games at right tackle. That's 25 starts from 1 year ago, returning at both tackle positions. They're both like 6'6". They're very actually similar looking dudes, to be honest with you. John, I feel like any other team in the league, and I'm not saying that it won't get there, but I feel like any other team in the league, and we saw this with LSU before, we've seen it in the past with Georgia, we've seen it in the past with Alabama, the big brands, not only in the conference but in college football. When somebody tells you, yeah, they returned both of their tackles who started every game last year, that's generally oh man, they're going to be pretty good up there. We haven't heard as much of that yet. Most everything revolves around Lenore Sellers at South Carolina, which is fine because they do have a superstar quarterback. But I'm asking you, as an offensive lineman, as a former really good offensive lineman at South Carolina who's got the accolades to prove it in a stint in the NFL, when you return 25 starts from 1 year ago, and a guy who's been in the program as long as Casey Henry has, and a guy who's going to be just a sophomore, a true sophomore, this year in Josiah Thompson.
Josiah Henry. All right.
Yeah, maybe that'll be their combo name moving forward. Josiah Thompson. How do you interpret that? Like, how does that make you feel as kind of a guru of this group of guys?
All right. Well, coming from a guy like me, the mini camp in the NFL, just to get that out there. It was a short stint, but
10-year starter.
Yeah, right. No, I think your tackles, especially when it comes to pass pro, very important positions, because I mean that's where the majority of the pressure seems to come, and that's the toughest position when you're passing the ball. So when you got two tackles that have the experience that they have, that's a bright spot. And we're sitting here talking about the tackles. Yeah, they pretty much started every game last year, but let's not forget, Boaz Stanley started at Troy, okay? And then you got Tree and Trovon that both have started a lot of games already here at South Carolina as well. Tree starting a game last year because Josiah was hurt. So, we have really good at playing experience along the offensive line this year. I really think they got a chance to be good. I really do. But, returning your left and right tackle, seasoned guys that have been through the SEC gauntlet is pretty big. And, Trovon Baugh, I mean, he started, I don't know how many games his freshman year, but he's been through this gauntlet in the SEC before. Mm-hmm. And Tree has as well. I think that left guard position remains to be seen on who's going to start. Is it Tree? Is it somebody else? Don't know, but we got a lot of experience along the offensive line that's played a lot of football so far. So I'm super excited about this group to see what they can do this upcoming year.
Yeah, Josiah's 12, Kaysen's 13. Big Tree has 9 starts under his belt, but he's appeared in I think a total of like
A lot.
Yeah, 15 or 16 games or something like that. Trovon has appeared in more games than Big Tree, but he had 8 starts that year that you were referencing just a moment ago. And if Boaz Stanley ends up being the starter, it seems like it's certainly been trending that way. But we talked to Darren last week, Darren Usher, and he said, "Hey, look, love Boaz Stanley. This guy's got an incredibly bright future, but we don't just sign kids like they signed like Nick Sharp, for instance. Like we don't just sign kids for depth pieces. Like we sign them because we think they can play. So we're gonna figure this out. And obviously Nick Sharp has extensive time, but let's just work under the assumption that maybe it is Boaz Stanley. He has 12 starts. He had 12 starts last year at Troy. He did start his collegiate career, I think, at Georgia Military, for what that's worth, and kind of got himself built up before he went on over there. So you're talking about 21, 33, 42, 54 career starts, but they're all pretty recent. It's not like these. I mean, Kaysen dealt with some injuries, but Trovon, has been in the program now for 2. This will be his 3rd year. Same thing with Big Tree, will be his 3rd year. Stanley's 1st year, Thompson's 2nd year, and this will be Kaysen's 2nd year of actually significant playing time. They're not just entering somebody in there like they did last year with Josiah and say he's incredibly talented. Let's work with the growing pains. What growing pains, though, are they going through that now, John, in the summer and then early on in camp? If you find your unit, these are our 5 guys, is that where the growing pains are, just because they haven't played together, not because they don't understand the game of football at this level?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about gelling, right? As an offensive line, you need to be cohesive and gel together. So you really start getting that down. I think the first 2 weeks at camp, you'll kind of have a pretty good idea on who you think your starting 5 is going to be. And then you let those guys work those last 2 weeks together. And, it just kind of starts to gel. And I think it gels even more, especially after the first game. I think after the first game, you get through it, and this is true for all offensive lines. I think that's when you really start seeing a unit come together, and you kind of know by that second game, all right, this is what we got. How good are they going to be? And really, it's a mental thing. Everybody talks about, physicality and all that, which is very true on the line of scrimmage. But as an offensive lineman, it's partly between the ears too.
Yeah.
It's a very mental game, and so I don't know. It's just the communication along an offensive line is so important. It's just so important. Guys knowing where each other's going, making sure everybody's on the same page, making sure one guy in the huddle didn't hear something different than the other. So when you get to the line, it's good to communicate with each other and talk. That way, maybe if there's a misunderstanding right before the snap, somebody, no, this call, whatever. So that's very important, is the mental side. And I was lucky enough to talk to those guys during the spring. And I told them, it's about kicking other people's ass, but your mental game has to be strong, because one screw up, one guy does something wrong, it blows up a whole play.
Makes the whole thing look terrible. Yeah. I want to use your eyeballs here. I always find it fascinating when I talk to you about anything, obviously with football, but certainly with the offensive line. I equate it to how I am with catchers. I watch catchers. I see so many things that a lot of people don't see. So I love to get your input from when you watch guys and what they do that everybody else doesn't notice. So I want Cam Pringle isn't here anymore, but I do want to start with Cam Pringle. It's hard to replace his size. There's not a lot of 6'8", 330-pound dudes just walking around town. But knowing the prospect that he was, I know you saw him play in practice and spring games and things like that. How difficult is that he was going to be? I know Darren hates this, and so does Shane Beamer. So my apologies to them. I don't think he was going to be a starter this year. I do think this year he was going to be, quote unquote, a depth piece, right? But it's important because you can't go down in a hurry up there. So what type of player do you feel like they lost in Cam Pringle? Like how how valuable of how valuable is he to the personnel of this group?
Well, I think he was a possible backup at one of the tackle positions. I know he primarily played right tackle,
Right.
but I mean, you got Shivers. I always screw that up.
Yeah.
I think
Shivers.
he was kind of locked in as your backup right tackle. I
Okay.
just think it's a lock. So, uh, do you miss an extra big body like him? Of course you do. Of course you do. Do I think he was ready to play from what I've seen and what I've been told? No, he was not. So it's always a blow to lose any depth piece. But I think with the other guys we already have in place for this coming year, I don't think it bothers us at all. Now, next year, yeah, I think it's a big blow because would have been good for him to have another year of experience and then going into his third year, and then hey, maybe he's competing for a starting position.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've said this before, offensive line is very rare you come straight in and play. Very rare. It's the toughest position to come straight in and play, in my opinion. So the offensive line is a developmental position. Come in, preferably take your red shirt, and then just get better and better. I mean, that's what I did. I came in red shirted, lettered my red shirt freshman year, played a lot. My redshirt sophomore year, I thought I was going to be the starter and at center my sophomore year, redshirt sophomore year, my third year, but didn't kind of work out. But I played a ton. And then my junior and senior year, I was a starter. So that's kind of like your perfect scenario for an offensive lineman. So with today's age, though, with the transfer portal and guys thinking they're better than they are and all this and that and NIL, it's kind of muddied the water on that. I've already said it publicly. I think Cam Pringle made a terrible decision doing what he did, but probably just had the wrong people in his ear. And unfortunately, he's not here anymore, so not really worried about it. Great kid, though. He's a great kid. I will say that.
No, there's no doubt. He's a wonderful kid, and he'll be successful.
Yeah, he will
but
be.
certainly wish he would be successful in these colors. It's a group. If we think we know kind of what the starting five is, it's probably going to average about 6'5", 325 pounds up front. That's a significant increase from anything we've seen around here in a while, and it's a well put together 325, as we all well know. John, how about a couple of guys maybe that you would, I don't know if we would call them wild cards, but we'll call them that for the sake of this conversation here. Dudes that could sneak up on you when you get to camp. Maybe they don't win a position. Maybe they end up taking one down the road. Maybe they don't, but they got to go in there and play. But if they get in the ball game, you're going to be very comfortable with seeing them in there.
I think Marquis Anderson's like the key one for me. He's a really good player, really good talent. I mean, you saw it in high school. You saw flashes of it his freshman year until he got injured. Didn't see a whole lot of him last year, but he has the tools. Marquis has the tools to play guard or center, in my opinion. He has the tools. So I think he's the one to watch in camp. I think he's the one that may sneak up. Who knows? Maybe he grabs one of those starting guard positions. Don't know. But I think he's the one to watch out for, in my opinion. Other than all the other 6, 7 guys we've already talked about.
How big of a deal is it? His much like Casey Henry going into last season? Oh, we think we like him, but can he stay healthy? And that's kind of been one of Marquis' bugaboos thus far.
Yeah, and you know what? You hate that when that happens to somebody. That injury bug, man. You just feel so bad for that player. So I don't know. I'm hearing he's good to go. Went through spring. Hearing he's good and healthy. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean that always puts you behind everybody else, right? When you're not on the practice field practicing like all the other guys are, it's going to put you behind the rest of them. So it's just going to be interesting to see what gains he's made here over the past year since his freshman year when he was injured all season.
All right. On the defensive side of the football, everybody in the world who pays attention to college football knows about Dylan Stewart.
We don't even need to talk about him. I mean, come on.
I don't think there's much to say about Dylan Stewart.
No.
This kid's got a chance to be as as good as we've seen, and that includes a very popular name around here, as we all well know. But the other side of this thing it seems like it's been trending kind of Brian Thomas's position.
I thought he had a great spring, by the way. Got to see him a couple. Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr.
What made you say that?
I mean, just watching him play at practice, he just looks really good, man. Looks like a solid player that can help this team tremendously. So I'm looking forward to see what he does this upcoming season. I think it's his time to shine. You know, we saw flashes of him last year. He had some big sacks, some big TFLs. You know, a year older, a year stronger, a year wiser. I think he's got a chance to be a really good player for us this year.
How much does, and it's going to be, I would say, fairly significant, and the fact that Dylan Stewart is going to affect the play of Brian Thomas. Like, he's going to draw plenty of it. He's going to affect the play of everybody. We'll get to the rest of those guys here in a second. But as a coaching staff, like when you know that you got a superstar out there who's going to draw attention, double teams, triple teams, even from time to time, is there anything different that those guys will do to position the tackles and the other edge players up front to be able to capitalize on that?
Well, I think the perfect example of this is Clowney's junior year, right? He came onto the scene his freshman year, you know, had like 6 sacks or whatever, made some big plays, especially everybody, you know, refers to the Georgia game as kind of his coming out party as a freshman. But if you look at Clowney's senior year, he was double teamed, chipped by backs. I mean, you know, he didn't have the same numbers as a sophomore year where he went just crazy because people were stupid enough to leave him one-on-one, right? And then they figured it out his senior year. But guess what? His senior year, that defense was really good up front. And guess what? All those tackles and the Devin Taylors, they all had great years. And because of or was it? No, it wasn't Devin Taylor. It was
Chaz Sutton.
Chaz Sutton. So it gave all those guys opportunities to make one-on-one plays, and that's what they did that year, including your linebackers, you know, blitz and rushing the passer. Everybody's focused on Clowney. Well, it opened up stuff for other guys. So that could happen. I don't know. I think some teams feel pretty cocky that, you know, they can guard any or block anybody one-on-one. So hopefully we see a lot of that. I would love for them to one-on-one Dylan Stewart all year long. I don't think that's going to happen. So that just gives other guys opportunities to step up and make plays because Dylan is single-handedly disrupting the offense by putting 2 people on him, so it frees up other guys to make plays.
I know. I equate it to baseball. Like you've got you got one guy. I remember, you know, when I was younger, everybody circled smoke. We're not going to let him beat us. Okay.
Right.
He ain't beating us. You know, he might spray one into left field. He might hit a double, but we're not letting him hit a couple balls out of the yard tonight. That's not going to be the guy that beats us. And then everybody else took it upon themselves to go out and beat him because they were so focused on Justin. I mean, you can come up with 1,000 examples of this. But
yeah, I mean, it's just like Petrie this past year. We saw him get walked a lot. We saw when he would get up to the plate with a man on first, they would pitch around him, you know, wouldn't throw him any strikes. I mean, yeah, so it's kind of the same thing. We're not going to let the best hitter on the team beat us. We're going to make the next guy beat us, and unfortunately, we grounded to a lot of double plays this year. But anyways,
yeah.
You know what I mean. But go ahead. Let's get back to it.
Well, that's kind of my point. So you take these guys have to take it upon themselves. Darren mentioned last week the addition of Demon Clowney and George Wilson. They kind of brought them in for 2 different roles, and they're going to play them a little bit differently. One's better against the run. The other is better against the pass. So you'll see them coming in and out of the game when they're playing. Obviously, you got Brian Thomas. We'll see about Jaylen Brown. I haven't heard much about him, which generally is not a great sign.
Who'd you say?
Jaylen Brown, the transfer from Missouri.
Yeah. I haven't heard a lot either.
But I just continue to come back to Desmond Umeozulu on all this, John. Like, this kid came in highly touted. We know it's in there. And I just feel like he's the wild card in all of it.
He is, and I actually wrote that down before we got on here. By the way, I think Desmond. He hasn't done a lot. He's done a little bit. So I'm curious to see if this is kind of his breakout year, right? I think he's got a chance to be a great player. He looks the part, man. He's a
Woo.
good looking kid. Good looking kid. So, and I don't know why I say kid. I guess because I'm in my 40s now, but he's a great looking young man. How about that? Great
Yeah.
looking young man. I'm looking forward to see what he can do. Gear, looking forward to see what he does. And then Anthony Addison, man. He had a quietly really good spring at the defensive end position, true freshman. So I think he's the guy to watch getting some playing time this upcoming fall as well.
So you think this group is deeper than people probably are giving it credit for?
I do. I mean, I look at the D tackle position with Goodwine, Dindy, Nick Barrett, Zay Hardy. I'm looking to see how Zay Hardy translates into this kind of competition. Obviously, he was a highly touted player out of high school. He was the number one JUCO recruit this past year. The SEC is a little different than JUCO, so we'll see how he translates. But I mean, those four guys in the middle, I feel good about those guys. And there's a couple other ones too. So I think this, you lost some good players at D tackle, right? Lost some great players. So it's going to be interesting to see how it translates. But from what I've seen from these guys during the spring, I feel pretty good about it. I'm not going to say I feel as good as last year when I came on here at this time, saying this defense is probably one of the best all-around defenses we've had in a very long time, which it was last year, and it was everything. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I can't wait to get out fall camp and just kind of see what they're looking like.
Yeah, look, Gabrielle Brownlow Dindy has kind of been the guy that I've circled for multiple reasons, not just from watching it, but from the feedback that I've received and things like that. The intel that we get has always been high on him. But I'm telling you what, John, when I saw Nick Barrett, just looked at him, like there's got the get off the bus thing matters. I think. I really think that it truly matters. And there's some guys you get off the bus first because they're just big. And then there's other guys you get off the bus first because they're big and they're mean and they can play. And this kid has put all of this time in here at South Carolina. He's been around here since 2021, and it is 2025. And I just cannot I've been trying to envision a scenario where he doesn't have a tremendous impact. And the intel we've received back from him is, you go look at him and you tell me what you think. And as soon as I saw him in April, after hearing that, I thought, well, I get it now. What have you heard on Nick Barrett?
I've heard he's had a really good spring. I think he's a guy that's going to be competing for the starting job, even though, like I've said on here, defensive tackles, there's really 3 or 4 starters. Just a pair are going to be on the field first before the other pair. That's really how you look at defensive tackle. Like last year, I felt like we had 4 starting defensive tackles. It was just which game, who's going to start what. So I think he's got a chance to be a really good player, have a really good year, just from what I saw in spring and what I was told. So I'm excited about this D tackle group. I know, nobody has really seen them play much. We saw some of these guys play last year, but we all were focused on the 4 guys we had last year. So I don't know. I'm excited about this group and what I saw during spring. I think there should be some excitement behind these guys.
Yeah, Nick Barrett, by the way, has been on the honor roll, the all SEC honor roll every year that he's been at South Carolina, which is tremendous. The other thing to point out with Barrett last year, because he only played in 4 games. Let's make sure that people don't misunderstand this. They didn't burn him. That was the whole point. Not that they didn't want to play him, but they
just had so much depth, so you didn't have to waste a red shirt.
Right. They preserved a year for him.
Yeah.
Because 22 and 23 are the only years that he blew his eligibility. So he's got 2 years under. So he's got 2 left technically.
Yeah.
From an eligibility standpoint. You mentioned Brown. You mentioned Zay Hardy. You mentioned Brownlow Dindy. Obviously, those are guys that we're all very high on, and obviously we just had a conversation about Nick Barrett. But Monkel Goodwine went to Alabama for a reason. And I know we're getting near the end of time here, and JC and Phil will stop in just a second. I watched Monkel play last year and thought the same thing then as I think now. This guy's got tools. He's got really good feet. Your impressions on Monkel Goodwine?
Yeah, I'm excited about him. Like I wrote down before we got on here my 4 guys that I'm most excited about at the defensive tackle position, and he was one of them, aside from the other 3 we've already talked about. So I think he's got a chance. I mean, I think he's got a chance to have a really good year. You never know. I heard he had a really good spring, so we'll see how it translates into the summer and into fall camp. But the guy definitely has the tools. I mean, just like you just said, there's a reason he signed with Alabama, right?
Yeah.
And, Nick Saban wanted that guy. So we're happy to have him. Glad he chose South Carolina. So now let's just see what he can put out on the field and go from there. But I really like this group. I know we lose a ton, and that's what I hear. Every time I hear South Carolina football brought up on any kind of media stuff, man, they got so many guys to replace on the D line, linebacker, and replacing Nick at safety. But I don't know. I feel pretty good about this defensive tackle group. So we'll see what they can put together.
I mean, you always feel good when you replace them with guys who've been around a while. Monkel Goodwine's been around a while. This is his 5th year of college football. Nick Barrett, he's a redshirt senior. Xavier Hardy, obviously, is a junior coming from the JUCO ranks. Gabriel Brownlow Dindy is a redshirt junior. Like, these guys have played a lot of football. They're not replacing them with a bunch of young dudes who don't understand the speed and strength of the SEC. Like, these guys get it. And I think that's where you want to be. If you want to maintain, like you want to raise the floor, that's how you do it right there.
Yep.
Now you got to go out and perform. You can't get here fast enough, John. We'll see. There's Matt.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I'm chomping at the bit.
Ready.
First 2 games at night, too, so I'm ready to rock.
I know. 3 o'clock. I'm going to fly into Atlanta, by the way.
Well, I was talking about
driving.
the first 2 home games.
Yeah, no, Atlanta's 3, and then the 2.
Yeah.
You're talking about 2 at home. I'm just giving you a heads up. I'm not driving to Atlanta. I'm just going to fly in. It's like $200.
Yeah, I mean, 4.5, 5-hour drive versus
in Atlanta traffic.
A quick 40-minute flight. Yeah, I don't blame you.
I'll spend the $200.
Yeah.
Do you mind picking me up from the airport, though?
That's right. He needs a ride to the hotel.
I've taken Uber plenty of times. I've had to stop off in Atlanta, coming back home to stop off in Atlanta and had to take Uber. So you'll be fine.
I can only imagine how frustrating an Uber would be in Atlanta traffic, right? Just having to sit there.
Here's what you do. You're flying. When are you flying in? Saturday or Sunday?
I should be in by 7:30 Saturday morning.
Oh, 7:30 Saturday morning. You'll be fine. No traffic.
Yeah, that'll be all right.
Atlanta?
Yeah, on a 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday.
Bro, just take the MARTA and meet us at brunch, man.
You really could. Yeah. You could literally, straight from the airport, jump on the train.
You're going to be good to go.
So the thing is if I drive, I'm driving Friday. Like, I'm not going to drive in on Saturday and miss the early games and stuff like that, or even leave early in the morning and then have to turn around and come home on Monday. I was like, well, I'll just fly in on Friday or drive in on Friday. And then I'm like, but why? Like, well, I don't really need to do that. So I'd rather just fly out and be there 7:30 Saturday morning, not spend an extra night on a hotel room.
Well, if I come, I'm coming Sunday morning.
Okay.
I haven't decided yet.
Stay until Monday?
Yeah.
You see the
hotel rooms are crazy up there for Friday and Saturday night. I've already heard because Tennessee plays the night before.
Right. They're better if you do Saturday night, Sunday night versus Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I know.
I may actually stay with Mike Morgan then.
Yeah, you're probably going to.
I haven't booked it yet.
Stay with Mike, and then get a hotel room for Sunday night. There you go.
Yeah, we're staying 3 nights. I used points for half of it, and it's still costing us more than it should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Chiefs paying for mine.
Hey, those hotel companies are smart. They know what's going on in town that weekend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They got this thing figured out, man. Mercedes-Benz is, there's always something going on there. They can just count on the fact that Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays are going to be expensive in downtown Atlanta.
Mike lives near the MARTA station too, in Brookhaven, so that's not. It's right next to Buckhead, so.
I even looked into some Airbnbs, but I didn't like where some of them were, and I ain't doing all that. I like hotels, man. I like to get up in the morning, go down and get my experience. If I come back at night and I just want to sit at the bar for a second, I don't want to have to go grocery shopping and order Uber Eats and all that. I don't want to do all that.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I like Airbnb every now and then, though. I did just get an Airbnb for the Texas A&M game, literally 2 miles from the stadium in College Station. So,
nice.
College Station is a great place to do that too.
Yeah,
they
it
have a
is.
ton of hotels there.
Yeah. So typically on that trip, I usually stay in Houston. We'll just drive over for the game and drive back. But this one we're going to Airbnb it. But JC, I'll actually be in Chicago June the 18th. When you're coming to Columbia that week.
I'll probably be on my way down. Yeah, we're leaving like the 18th.
I'll be back. I'll be back the night of the 20th. So.
Oh, sweet. So I'll see you there.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I'll see you that Saturday on the 21st.
Oh, good. Well, that's. Well, I hate that we couldn't give you the Chicago experience, man.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm up there for 2 nights.
We're having a garage sale next weekend, so I've got.
Oh.
Activities this month, right?
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
Krager says Mike lives near Chastain Park. Yeah, it's real close to Chastain Park. It's Brookhaven. It's a decent place. Mike's got a hot tub. I tell him he's in a tree house because he has this big, tall deck upstairs, hot tub and all that up there.
He lives in a condominium, right?
No, it's a house. It's like a 4 or
It is
5
a
bedroom house. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought he used to live in a condo in downtown or Buckhead.
I think he used to, didn't
maybe
he?
did. Yeah, maybe he did.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, it's back in the neighborhood, but it's a quick Uber ride to Johnny's Hideaway and the Claremont Lounge, which is where I got to take Phil and his wife. And there's tons of sports bars all around there. We're gonna have a good time, boys.
Well,
we
may come. We may roll over Sunday morning. We'll see.
That'd be special.
Come on by.
I mean, Saturday alone is going to be epic because there's no pressure Saturday. It's
Right.
no game.
Right.
Just watch everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That'll be fun.
John, thank you as always, my man.